As human beings, we all romanticize our lives very much. This is something that has been studied, practiced, and continuously reinforced throughout our lives almost every day. However, I want to say something. I think that there's a little bit of an importance of it, and in certain pieces of fiction, you can actually learn about certain characters' redemption stories and how you can actually apply it to your own life. Today's character that we're going to be focusing on will be from My Hero Academia, Endeavor. Uh, if you have watched up to the season 5, yeah, because I'm at season 5, I'm almost finished with it too. But if you've watched up with to season 5 of the anime, then you know that he is now the new number one hero. And with that comes a lot of different responsibilities. But one of the main things that he wanted to focus on was the aspect of being able to redeem himself from his wrongdoings that he has done to his children and his family as a whole. What it do, Crispy Crew? If you like videos about anime, gaming, music, and just media as a whole, film, entertainment, the whole nine. If you like videos about that type of stuff, but also like vlogs and just general things, just general good vibe content, because we're here for the vibes. If you like those type of things, please be sure to like this video and subscribe. We are trying to get to 400 subscribers at the time of recording this video, and be sure to also follow the Twitch and the other links that I have down below as well. But with that being said, let's get right back into the video. Now, in order for you to get a little bit of context of what I'm talking about, you need to remember what Endeavor from the My Hero series has done. So let's go ahead and rewind. Endeavor, the father of Shoto Todoroki from the My Hero Academia series, at the time of the events happening, he was the number 2 hero right behind All Might. Him attempting to basically breed what was essentially supposed to be a super weapon of a child, essentially, with their quirks, because in My Hero, your powers are inherited. He was attempting to do that with his son, Todoroki. But his methods were very much abusive, with all of his children and his wife suffering the consequences of his action. Now, this isn't to say that we should just be out here forgiving abusers and things of that nature or whatnot, but more of just the aspect of his story is kind of something that I found interesting enough for me to want to talk about on this channel. I'm not saying that if you're out here like Chris Brown beating on multiple women, that you need to be accepted in open arms into society or something like that. No, I'm not saying that.
Look, some people need to be gone, bro. You know what I'm talking about? In order for shit to get better. He one of them.
But what I am saying is the personal convictions of Endeavor and how he decided to use his redemption arc is something that I found interesting in terms of how a lot of people actually seem to romanticize their own redemptions and things of that nature. I could even take myself as an example of this. Back in about 2023, I was basically kicked off of my college campus because of financial aid issues, right? Essentially, I didn't have enough money to pay for schooling on campus at the very least, and I couldn't get enough money in time to help me pay for that semester, let alone the rest of the semester. It was a very long story, but apparently my scholarship was able to cover everything else except my room and board. So I basically had to get kicked off, but I ended up taking a gap semester because I had an outstanding balance that, once again, I was not able to pay off. Now, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure the videos are still on the channel, actually, of me basically going through this redemption arc of me getting back to college, essentially. Now, even ever since then, I've had my ups and downs and things of that nature, and I'm still in a very much weird spot because I'm transferring to a whole different situation, and that's neither here nor there. But it's just the aspect of what I wanted to focus on was how I decided to treat my life, because I dead ass journaled this. Like, if I can find the journal, like, give me a second, I might be able to find the journal. So it turns out I lost the journal, which in hindsight is very concerning because I wrote a lot of personal things in that shit. So I'm very confused and very confuzzled on where the fuck that shit went. But that's neither here nor there. One of the main things you want to take a focus from that area of life, or of my area of that life, is how I basically focused on basically trying to romanticize my way of getting back into college and getting a good financial standing just in life, and basically just turning my life around, which at that time I believe that I did, because I accomplished all of the goals that I was really setting out to do. Now compare that to what Endeavor is doing in season 5 of My Hero, where he is deliberately saying, yo, I know that I cannot be forgiven by my son or by my family, or I know that the chances of that are slim, but I'm doing everything in my power to make it up to not only you, but to also to myself. And I want to focus on the self piece for a second. The thing is about most redemption arcs is that when you really start to boil it down to what it's actually meant for, it's never ever meant to actually please or satisfy other people. And a lot of the time, people attempt to say that it's for other people to redeem themselves in good standing with their families or their friends. But a lot of the time, when you really actually deep it, you start to realize that it's really to forgive themselves of whatever wrongdoing they have done to themselves or to the people around them that they've internalized and felt bad for. For me, that was disappointing myself by not being able to finish a full year of college. Which even still to this day I am feeling the effects of, because my graduation date got pushed back, because even after I returned to college, I had to go back part-time because of financial constraints. And even to this day, I'm still kind of a little bit behind, quote unquote, behind. Like this is the April of 2026. This was supposed to be my actual graduation year, because I started college in 2022. However, because of all the things that happened, me having to take that damn near forced gap year, and also basically having to go part-time in my schooling, so I can work to feed myself. These things ended up taking a toll on what my actual graduation date. So now I'm expected to not graduate until late 2027 of the winter, if not the early of 2028. But in that moment of when it first happened, it felt so painful that something that I basically geared up my entire life of doing, something that I put a lot of self-esteem and self-worth into, was damn near taken from me within an instant. And because of that, I felt that I owed it to myself in order for me to redeem this concept of basically my own self-worth. Because if you go back to some of those vlogs, if they're still up, but I'm pretty sure they are, if you go back to some of those vlogs that I made, a lot of those focused on how I was trying to refocus my attention to my YouTube, and how the YouTube channel meant for me, and me trying to refocus my attention on not only getting back in college, but also improving all areas of my life, getting back into the gym, making sure that I read more. I went to the library more. I had library blogs. I've said vlogs. At the time, I was taking care of my sister's dog, Bruno, because she was working a lot of hours just to keep herself afloat, and I was unemployed at that time until I started working at the T-Mobile, which, if you see my return vlog, that's also probably should still be up, it showcased some of that, So what I say about that was that time period of my life, I didn't realize it in the moment, but I was damn near romanticizing it. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to put all this grit and grind and getting back into what I felt was my highest self, for lack of better terms. And I believe that this is kind of linked to what how a lot of redemption arcs in fiction are also written. It's written within the same beliefs. Endeavor might not know it, but he's low-key romanticizing how he wants to make it up to not only his son, but his family, but also to do this to become a symbol of peace and be the #1 hero in My Hero Academia, which, whether it was selfish or not, those intentions are at the end of the day still, at the very minimum, noble. Now, while I have not read this manga, I believe this also low-key applies slightly to what I'm talking about, mainly talking about Thorfinn from Vinland Saga. It's something that's still on my list, so I haven't got the chance to read it. And when I do read it, it's probably going to have its own video discussing some of the philosophy behind it. But I believe that the one aspect that, that was memed to hell and back that I have no enemies was also another form of this romanticization of having this redemption arc for yourself. If you don't know what I'm talking about, within the manga, and I think it's already animated now, Vinland Saga's main character, Thorfinn, started off as a war-loving killing machine, essentially. You know, I don't remember what figure it was, because once again, I did not watch this, but this is just the base knowledge that I know of it. I did not watch this yet, and I really do need to watch it. But essentially, some type of leader figure in his life was basically saying, what do you need that knife for? You have no enemies. Now, once again, I didn't read it, but I guess some events happen within Thorfinn's life for him to finally actually internalize this teaching and basically change his ways of living afterwards, right? That is something that I believe is another example of a romanticized redemption arc. And I believe that it happens a little bit more in fiction than you think. I can even go into a more broad term of what this redemption arc could look like, or whole ass redemption characters. Let's take Batman, for example. What he's seen, we all know Batman's origin story. Went to go see a play with both of his parents. As Batman, as a child, got scared of the bats that were in the play, I believe. They walk out into an alley called Crime Alley, which in hindsight, let's be honest, if you're walking down a spot that's called Crime Alley, you probably deserve to get shot. But no, essentially, his family walked down this Crime Alley spot where a robber decided, yo, I like your mom's pearly necklaces. What's up with all the necklaces?
Why you got so many necklaces? Why you got necklace? Smell like bitch in here.
I need that. Family wasn't trying to give it up. Both of them got popped. And then Bruce Wayne was just there looking at his parents bleeding out. Ever since that day, Batman has basically been attempting to not only redeem himself for what he felt like it was his fault that his parents got killed, but it was also like he felt like was trying to redeem the city, to try to avenge what happened to anybody who has been hurt by some of the crimes that's been going on in Gotham City throughout his entire life. And I feel like that's one of the biggest examples of a redemption story, because it's different than a Superman or a Goku story, where a lot of their, or at least for Goku, a lot of his reasons for doing the things that he do are selfish, versus Superman, where he's purely a selfless being just trying to help people out. There was no event in his life, well, besides, you know, him being brought by some random folks in Kansas, but there is no events in his life that made him feel that he needed to redeem himself. He felt that he needed to use his power for good, and recognizing how he as a person can help other people. Batman was doing this purely out of a sense of essentially avenging himself, but also just redeeming himself, his family name, and the city of Gotham. Linking this all back to Endeavor at the very least, though, it shows that Endeavor as a whole kind of proves that your redemption arc should only be for yourself, because you cannot expect other people to recognize it for you at the very minimum. Now, granted, I still have not finished season 5 of My Hero, but at the very least of where I'm at currently, Todoroki is acknowledging that he's at least trying to make a change. However, he himself knows he is not forced to forgive this man in the slightest. That is perfectly fine. If someone is abusing you, they do not have the right to your forgiveness. That is a privilege that only you are able to give. So that's why the redemption arc should only, well, I wouldn't say it should only, but for the most part, it's probably only going to be for yourself to make things right internally, because at the end of the day, all you can control is yourself and how you react to your own situations. If you liked this video, please be sure to like the video. Actually, like, please deep fry that like button. You know, I know a lot of people don't like that phrase, but I don't care, because I think it's funny. Be sure to deep fry the like button, and also be sure to subscribe and tell me your thoughts on some of the actual redemption arcs in comic books, or just superhero media that I might have missed. Or if possible, tell me if there was any situations in your life where you felt like you had to redeem yourself, and without realizing it might have like romanticized it a little bit in order to help you keep it going. But I don't know. Just let me know what y'all think in the comments. In the meantime, I'll catch y'all in the next one.